Hello everyone, my name is Mayan from Tiger Media, and today I'm here with Big Ginger Williams from the new Tebo Library that just opened today on the FHSU campus. This is a soft opening, and we're excited to see what this library has to offer us. Thank you for taking the time to interview for us and showing us around here. So, first of all, what is your impression from the opening, the way that students reacted, the way that you've seen this unfold in the process? How are you impressed with the process that has been done?
I think on behalf of all the library staff, we're thrilled to see the response from students. It's been really heartwarming. I've seen some happy tears today where we've missed having our own building for a while, and we've missed having students around, and so it's really nice to see how many students have come in even on the first day of classes. I don't know that most of these students have any homework yet, but they're still coming in to check it out, and it's really wonderful to see.
And just looking back first on the old building, how much time did it take to plan the renovations until you actually closed down the old building and started the renovations? And what was the thought process behind it? Why did you think that you actually needed a new space, renovated space for the library?
Sure. It took approximately a year and a half to do the planning from beginning until moving out of the old library. And some of the things that we did were focus groups and surveys with students to ask what they would use in a new library space, what was most important to them, what might have kept them away before. So some of the things that told us it really was time to renovate the building. There were some infrastructure problems that couldn't really be fixed unless we kind of gutted the building and started fresh. So we made improvements that you can't see, but that enhance the experience with things like electrical and plumbing and HVAC. And none of those are exciting, but they were all failing. They were all doing pretty poorly before. And so we knew that from a building perspective that we needed to renovate and kind of start fresh on those. But also from a student perspective, the old library opened in 1967. It was beautiful then. It served students really well for a number of decades, but we had seen attendance kind of waning over the years, and we knew it was not the most favorite spot to study on campus anymore. So we wanted to see what students needed in the space that would make it more desirable as a study spot.
Yeah, and so something that has been changed from the quick scan I've been able to do. The old building used to have a huge space for just meetings, and it's kind of gone with a lot of smaller spaces for smaller groups, including more study rooms. So is that something that you understood that more students are interested in, more study rooms and small spaces to study?
Yeah, students in those input sessions and the survey, they told us they wanted more study rooms. So we have, I believe, 15 group study rooms now. We only had 4 before, so many more study rooms. They also said that they wanted to be kind of surrounded by books when they were studying, and so you'll see that the books are going to be on all 3 levels instead of just 2. And there are a lot of study nooks and tables in between the shelves that we didn't have before, and so we really spread out the books and mixed in student spaces between those.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those, like a table in between 2 round bookshelves, which is, I think, really nice.
Yeah.
So I think one of the other changes that the library has went through is the change from being named the Foresight Library to the Tebo Library.
Sure.
So obviously a new donor that came in to the library. How much did that impact the renovations? Was that donor influential in the renovations and part of the reason that you had the opportunity to reinvent the space?
We're extremely grateful to Stephen and Tatiana Tebo and their whole family for making this gift. We had, when we started the renovation, we had a gap of about $3 million of funding between what we had in federal grants and state funding, and we knew we didn't want to ask students for money. We didn't want to bond the project or add a student fee. And so we started the project with a commitment from the Fort Hayes Foundation that they would find that the money that had left a gap for us, and through the gift from the Tebo family, as well as several other gifts, they have made up that gap for us. So although it wasn't, the gift from the Tebo family isn't what allowed us to start the renovation, it certainly allowed us to finish it.
So one thing that you mentioned before is the presence of books in the library, which you currently are not yet, which you advertised in your soft opening promo that it's not going to be here yet. I'm wondering, how many books do you have in the Fortes collection in general, and how is the new distribution of books going to look like, different than what it was? You mentioned the 3 floors, but more specifically.
Yeah, we have over 1 million items in the collection, although most of those are virtual ebooks and things like that. So for the physical collection, I would have to look it up, but the ballpark is around 200,000 physical books. And what that's going to look like is, if you're familiar with the Library of Congress call number system, where call numbers start with A, go to Z. The A's will start on the main floor right when you walk in, and they'll continue until we run out of shelves, and then they'll go to the second floor. So the general collection, so calls, will be on the main and second floors, as well as periodicals and new books, current periodicals. But then older bound periodicals that we still need to reference or government documents will be in the compact shelving on the lower level.
And so what are some other amenities that the library would have to offer in terms of, I know the old building had this technology department that allowed students to come in, borrow cameras, other equipment that they might have needed. Is that something that's still going to happen in the new library?
Yeah, and in fact that'll happen from our main desk on the main level, which we're calling the welcome desk. The new signage isn't up yet, but we had 2 desks previously, and they were both a little bit awkward and clunky, just structurally. And so we've got one beautiful desk that's called the welcome desk, where you can stop and check out laptops, cameras, all kinds of equipment. And we're working on getting our media lab up and running, so we'll have a video booth and an audio booth to do podcasting and other short videos in the studio down here. So technology-wise, those are the major enhancements, but there are obviously other kinds of technology you can use in the makerspace or Institute for New Media Studies down here on the lower level.
So one other thing that I think is a major change is the add-on of the coffee shop in the library. Is the union catering company part of it? How does that work? Is it separate? Is it only for the library, or is it just similar to the other things that you have on campus? And also, are students able to use their student dollars to purchase coffee in here?
That's a great question. It is part of the union catering company, so students can use their dining dollars to shop there. It's called Roar and Pour, and so they obviously focus on coffee, but they also have tea and energy drinks, and they have, this one is different than some of their other locations because they've tried to make sure they vary what products they carry here. So I noticed a lot of snacks that are some of my favorites, not that they asked me, but they did a pretty good job. And they'll also have things like paninis at lunchtime. So it'll be open until 2 p.m. on weekdays for students to come grab something, especially if they're walking from the residence halls to the main part of campus quad and vice versa. It's a good, easy place to stop.
What has been the main idea of the actual design of the library? Were you part of that group? Was it how many different people? Also, like the infrastructure that we're currently sitting on seems to be something that many people will recognize about the new library. So what was the idea behind the design?
I did get to have a pretty major hand in the design, working with an architecture firm from Kansas City called PGAV, and the director of facilities planning as well. It was a good team that went through several iterations. We really started by imagining what we needed out of the space, and the architects would present a variety of options for how we could do that. And so I think we settled on the very best one. We love how it turned out. But we were focused on things like making the lower level that we're on feel less like a basement, making it less creepy, more open. We were trying to introduce a little more height. The ceilings down here were awfully low before. There were even some spots where I would have hit my head if I tried walking, and I'm only 5'5". So everything is appropriately ceiling height now. It's more beautiful, and we cut these 2 main holes between the lower and main floors to bring light down here, also to enhance this area and make it feel more inviting. But one of the things students told us back in 2022, they wanted more vertical height and they wanted more natural light. And so this is a way to carry light all throughout the building. So you'll also see a lot of large windows that are across from each other, so you get views, north to south, east to west. So we're trying to bring in natural light and make it feel open and airy.
And so the old building used to host few departments around college, like the honors college. Are they going to be back in the new building, and what departments will be hosted in the library facility?
Yeah, the honors college is coming back. They're just a little delayed in moving, so they'll be moving in March. They'll be on the second floor next to the Dean's Suite. And other partners that are coming in, Makerspace is getting settled behind us right now. The Institute for New Media Studies is a new partner, and they're adjacent over here. The Writing Center is moving in at the end of this week, and they'll be on the main floor. And then, of course, the cafe is our new partner.
And so, when is the regular opening of the library? When do you anticipate that to happen?
It'll probably be in March or April, but we don't have a date set yet. As you can imagine, there are a number of VIP folks that have a very busy calendar, so we're still trying to coordinate that, but hopefully before the end of the spring semester.
And can you elaborate about the just hours of opening of the library and how many students can this facility include in one time?
Gosh, I don't know the maximum occupancy. That's a really good question. But most nights, so Sunday through Thursday night, we're open until midnight. So weekdays, Monday through Thursday, we'd be opening at 7:30 a.m. and closing at midnight. Friday we close at 5 p.m. Saturday we're 1 to 5 p.m. Because those weekend hours, college students thankfully have other stuff going on weekend evenings, keeping them from studying in the library too much. So we do have pretty extensive, I would say, Sunday through Thursday hours.
And just to end on a envision, how do you see this space how do you see this space in terms of the students' use, the college use, the entire university? What do you envision happening here in the next few years?
It's already on the first just half day that we've been open. It's so amazing seeing students using it, and I hope it really facilitates student success, that they're using the study rooms, that they're meeting with their friends here, that they stop here between classes and use, maybe they have an online class and they stop in one of the individual study rooms for their online class, go back to their next one. I think it's just really going to enhance the possibilities for what we can do. I think we're going to have a lot of collaborations between Tebo Library and other campus units when we do events together here. But I think people are excited to use the space, and we're excited to have them.
Thank you so much for taking the time for us. That would be it for me. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.